Welcome to the throne room. My name is Elle, and we're doing our thing right now. Now, today I told you I was going to tell you about the High Sparrow and why I think, spoiler alert, sorry, but I just think that he's more major than people think. So I'm going to go ahead and tell you a little bit about the High Sparrow. But before we go into that, I just want you to know that my reviews are just primarily my own opinion. If you feel like I'm saying something inaccurate, please let me know. I don't have a problem with correcting myself and making sure that I'm accurate as possible. But let's go ahead and get it. So everyone is definitely wondering, what does he have to do with the story? And I'm going to go ahead and give you my view on what the High Sparrow's purpose is in the Game of Thrones. But before I do that, of course, I want to give you a little bit of one of his quotes. And you take it how you want to, but I'm going to let you know what I think. Every one of us is poor and powerless, and yet together we can overthrow an empire, the High Sparrow. So he did say that actually during this season, or maybe he did last season. I'm really not sure where to place it. But the point is that he's basically letting you know he came to overthrow this empire. Okay? You can't get more clear than that. Now, the High Sparrow is a major character in the 6th season. He initially appeared as a recurring character in the 5th season, and he is played by starring cast member Jonathan Pryce and debuts as the infamous High Sparrow. The High Sparrow is the leader of the religious fanatical sect known as the Sparrows and the newly appointed High Septon. Though he currently truly rules King's Landing, having gained a large military following and having the ability to manipulate King Tommen Baratheon, his real name is unknown. So a lot of people don't know his name, and it's just kind of strange how there's a lot of unknowns in this series. It kind of gives you a mystery, a little bit of fantasy, a little bit of drama. I think that's kind of why everybody likes the Game of Thrones, because they kind of mix everything in between. But it also gives you that justice for those people, those type of characters, people that that act similar to the characters on the show. Now, obviously, no one's going to own a kingdom, but it does give you a good view on what can happen depending on your character. So moving forward, the background on the High Sparrow. The High Sparrow was born to a fairly well-off cobbler, and that's somebody that makes shoes. That's what a cobbler does. Now, after his father's perishing, a young sparrow continued and greatly improved the family business. Many high-born citizens sought out the sparrow's wares and were happy to pay hefty sums. In turn, the man took extreme pride in his work, often spending night and day crafting a pair of shoes. Now, the sparrow became ever richer and adopted extra one of those extravagant lifestyles, we'll say. And he sought to distance himself from the humble roots and began to mimic the nobility he brought with him, from his father's actual journey into making his own business. So obviously he carried that business on to his son, and he, was starting to take on some of the characteristics and mimic the people around him. Now, the soon-to-be Septon was known for giving lavish parties, ended in debauchery. So he was doing the most. He had women, he had drinks, he had all the things that anyone could want. Now, soon to be the Septon, he was known for giving those big parties. He was doing his thing just like eastbound and down, y'all. So after one such night with too much wine and a lot of women, the sparrow woke up at the crack of dawn and, ashamed of what he had devolved in, the sparrow up and left his life. So the sparrow didn't even bother to put on his shoes. He began to minister to less fortunate, because he now felt they were closer to the seven than anyone. So that's what his story is. He kind of told Marjorie that last time they were talking. I just think my ultimate opinion about the High Sparrow is that behind his facade, he's actually ruthless, and he's basically fanatical, because he doesn't do anything but talk, and I just don't see him doing anything else. And he basically manipulates Cersei's resentment towards Marjorie to gain control over King's Landing through the Faith Militant. Later, he does gain influence over King Tommen. At this point, that's what he's doing, and obtaining even more power. He also psychologically tortures Cersei, Loras, Marjorie to obtain confession of their sins. It's unclear if he really believes in the piety of his humility, or only a facade to obtain power. So in this case, it's just a lot of things going on. Based on the war that they actually did have, he was able to come in and underhandedly take control of King's Landing. And a lot of these things that he's doing to them, it doesn't make sense, because he's not making anyone else walk the walk of shame besides Cersei. But I think that's all because she just wouldn't admit to her faults and wrongdoings, but who is he to question her about that he's not God? But I guess, in that time, people were a little bit more like, they didn't understand, like, you know, and in this case, people still do it today. They want to follow someone, and unfortunately, at times, it might not be the right person. We'll just say it that way. Um, I'm totally a person that's definitely, I believe in God, but I just don't believe that if you're not worshiping the way someone else says you are, that they know what they're talking about either. But that's just another story. But basically, I think in this case, like, Marjorie's playing Tom in a little bit. So we'll kind of figure that out tonight as we watch episode 8 and we see what's going down on that. So the High Sparrow is actually accommodating Marjorie a little bit more than he is Cersei, and it's probably because of her being able to give to others, and she is actually reading the Bible, and I think she's fake because it's like she's sitting there, and then when he comes in, she knows everything to say. I'd say everything too if I wanted to get out of there. Um, so in this case, well, after she does that, he allows Tommen to be seen there because of that. But I think also in this case, I'm not going to say that she's wrong for doing what she's doing. She just wants to get out. Unfortunately, her brother's not so smart, and he's just not giving into it. He needs to just admit to his wrongdoings and move on. Because in their case, they figure, how could he have an heir if he's doing what he's doing? But it's really not none of their business. Just to be quite honest, if another man decides not to do what the faith militant want, or anybody, that's their choice. That's our God-given right to be able to make choices on our own. But as far as, getting the, return for those things, that's totally different. In this case, in the Game of Thrones, the High Sparrow is the person giving it, okay? So when the Tyrell army actually did show up with Jaime and Mace, they came to King's Landing, it didn't work out. So because Tom actually put the logo of theirs on top of the Faith of the Seven, and it was pretty much over. So they took over, they took over. And I just don't see Cersei living out through this. I don't know if he's going to kill her or not based on the fact of what she does. Now, we just have to watch that and just kind of watch out for what's coming next. So if you have anything that you would like to go ahead and contribute, or let me know if you felt like, maybe most of the stuff I was saying was incorrect, let me know. But that's kind of why he's doing what he's doing, and just wanted to let you know you can't trust the High Sparrow. And thank you for tuning into the Throne Room. We'll be back next week, and hopefully I'll be feeling a little bit better. But thank you for tuning in to the Throne Room.